In history, there have been many names that have been brought to the media due to their impressive abilities to make the world a better and more efficient place. Although science had caused the end of the way of life as we know it in the early 2000s, there was a name that not many knew of for his scientific endeavours. Cave Johnson was behind many impressive technological advances, but his most prominent never fully came to public knowledge. What was this impressive piece of technology, and what could it do? Here we explore the Portal Project. Back in 1944, Cave Johnson purchased an old salt mine in Upper Michigan after his company, Aperture Fixtures, had dominated sales in the shower curtain industry after securing contracts with prominent agencies and companies. With his wealth, he moved into the science field and constructed a science facility deep underground in the salt mine. By 1947, the company won the award for the Best New Science Company from the Science and Business Institute of America. With experienced scientists working for him, and with the company only looking to rise in their ranks, Cave wanted to be the best in the field, and so, in around 1950, Cave searched for something that would be revolutionary: portal technology. With new technology on the horizon, new test shafts were constructed to test the portal technology. While many of the previous shafts had been created to test the new gels and various other technologies, the portal technology became the main focus for some. The first variation of the device was named the Aperture Science Portable Quantum Tunneling Device. The bulky device was placed onto the test subject and held in place with straps. The large bulk held the materials for use in the experiment, while the gun attached to it could access these materials with a hose. The gun itself had the ability to create two portals, one to enter and one to leave, and vice versa. While on paper this sounded successful, the large apparatus in combination with the portals themselves being unstable resulted in the mutilation and sometimes death of the test subjects when they attempted to enter the portals they had just created. In 1956, Aperture Science gained a large cash infusion after making a deal with the United States military. With this, the company continued to attempt to make the portal technology a success. Over the next decade, many of the test subjects died while at the facility, and the government became aware of the increased number of disappearances. So in 1968, the United States held a Senate meeting to discuss the missing astronauts that had disappeared while participating in the Aperture Science Facility. Due to the failed experiments and legal bills, the company became bankrupt. To pile on his stress, Cave Johnson began to believe Black Mesa was stealing his technologies and using them for their goals. Now into the 70s, Cave purchased roughly $70 million worth of moonrock, desperate to discover if the new material would aid in his scientific endeavors. Through trial and experiment, he discovered that when ground up and turned into a gel, the gel worked perfectly as a conductor to stabilize the portals created from the Aperture Science Portable Quantum Tunneling Device. With the portals now accessible to use without injuring the test subjects, he now had to manufacture the device itself to be more accessible for the test subjects to use. This discovery had given Cave hope that Aperture could thrive once more, and so, with this, he introduced a new plan to get Aperture back on their feet, one of these plans being the Portal Project. Here, Cave pushed his scientists to build a smaller quantum tunneling device, and they did. Here, the Aperture Science handheld portal device, or to others, the ASHPD, was created. Requiring a dedicated location to test the new portal device, Cave commissioned the construction of the enrichment center using the moon dust to create chambers. This series of test chambers could now be observed by the scientists, and they could work on their findings within their new offices. While the previous version of the tunneling device had been destroyed, and so only minor details could be found about them, this device had a variety of features that allowed its user to use it to its maximum potential. At first glance, the device appeared to be much smaller than its predecessor. The user could simply place their hand into the device, while their second hand could support the weight and direction of where the device could fire. Inside of the machine were two triggers, one for the first portal and the other for the second. As similar to the previous build, the first portal would simply lead to the second. In this upgrade of the machine, the first portal appeared to be blue and the second orange. This colour display allowing the test subjects to differentiate between the portals, as creating a new portal of the same colour would simply close the existing one. In addition to this, to aid the test subjects, the base of the gun glowed the colour of the last portal created. Now completely portable, the test subjects could safely enter a stable portal and use gravity, momentum, and various other scientific calculations to get from point A to point B. Inside of the gun, the scientists had managed to create and manipulate a miniature black hole to power the device using various failsafe features to stop the hole from expanding and injuring the subject and the facility. With objects implemented into the test chambers, the gun allowed the users to make use of the zero-point energy manipulator to easily pick up normally heavy objects and place them in select locations. To increase the test chamber's efficiency, the material emancipation grills within the chambers that would usually destroy select items that cross them were tuned to close all active portals created with the gun when the gun passed through the barrier. To stop the subjects from taking injury from the long falls that the use of the portals could create, the subjects were fitted with an advanced knee replacement. This simply removed any pain or injury from a considerable drop. By 1986, Aperture Science had constructed many test chambers to test their technology, and it seemed to be working fairly well. With the success, Cave received word that the Black Mesa Research Facility were working on their own portal technology, and so, in an attempt to continue to beat his rivals, he pushed the development of GLaDOS, a machine that would manage the facility and take his consciousness when he passed away so that he could essentially live on through it and continue to run his company. Due to being in close proximity to the ground-up moon rocks, Cave had become ill over the past few years, and slowly his lungs had begun to give out. Shortly pushing for the genetic lifeform to be completed, he died, leaving his assistant, Carolyn, to manage the facility. Later in 1996, Carolyn had her consciousness transferred and merged with a now complete GLaDOS. While this merge of consciousness and technology appeared to be a scientific breakthrough, GLaDOS from the beginning of her life was unstable and craved science. In the early 2000s, GLaDOS was activated, and from this event, the facility was shut down and the majority of the scientists within died from the neurotoxin that she pushed through the facility. Now, still craving science, GLaDOS had one goal: to test the Aperture Science handheld portal device using the test subjects just waiting to be woken from long-term relaxation. Originally created by a human, the portal project would now be continued by a robot indefinitely. Over her years of testing, GLaDOS adjusted the portal device to suit her various subjects. Her humans used the standard device created by Cave and his team, while her later created robotic subjects were given blue, purple, yellow and red portals to use in their test chambers. While the colours changed, the function of the device stayed the same. The Portal project is one of the greatest secrets of the 2000s, but with the world outside of Aperture under the control of the Combine, it may be best for the project to stay hidden for now. With the Combine now cut off from their dimension after their super portal collapsed, it is thought that the portal gun could aid the Resistance in their final fight. While the portals would be unstable on surfaces not infused with moon rock dust, maybe this could be the perfect weapon to remove the Combine's presence from planet Earth and give humanity back their freedom. While the Portal project originally was created to get Aperture Science back on their feet, now it could essentially be a tool to rid planet Earth of the Combine invasion and allow the human population to start a new life without oppression. Behind the Portal project. Now in this section I will be looking at behind the scenes content for the Portal gun. Now, first off, thank you to the Half-Life wiki where some of this behind the scenes information has been stored in a single place. The concept of Portal originally came from a game called Narbacular Drop created by Nuclear Monkey Software, the team being a group of students at DigiPen Institute of Technology. In brief, the game had the player use two connected portals to get through a dungeon. Here you can see the protagonist staring at two portals, a blue and an orange one, similar to what we got in Portal. Obviously, with a completely different design choice. After Narbacular Drop's release, Valve discovered it and hired the team to work for them on a new project that would use their very unique Portal technology and develop it into a Valve game. Moving on to early models of the Portal gun, the first gun looks interesting. We do not have the smooth, sleek design we have in the release, but it does look like something you would pick up during Half-Life, seemingly pretty similar to the gravity gun, so they were definitely figuring out which direction to go in here. It is also interesting to note the colours of the portals here, blue and purple, which we would later see in the Portal 2 co-op testing initiative with Atlas and Peabody. Now finally, just look at some of the screenshots from its development. In this first image from the 2005 beta, we can see that the portal colours are different and even the shapes of the portals. What do you think? Are you happy with the perfectly round shapes we received, or would you have preferred this sort of wonky looking portal? I think that if we could have seen the portals before they were stabilised with moonrock dust, I'd imagine that they would look like this. I'm also 90% sure that this is meant to be the opening from Portal. There's a bed frame in the bottom left, and the door to the first test chamber is where it would be, also the obvious being the clock there. Next we have the portal device on what looks to be a primitive pedestal, but more interestingly, the portal here looks nothing like what we've seen before, looking kind of broken or maybe just opening up. We can see the environment here is looking more Aperture Science-y, so it must be later on in development than the previous image. Next we have what is appearing to be more like the portal we know. The only difference really is the brightness and swirl of the portal. I actually prefer this. In the teaser trailer for the game, Valve featured blue, red, orange and yellow portals. The portals here were also not quite what we received, so it seems that they were still figuring out how they wanted the portals to look. The Emancipation Grill also took a redesign, as it appears to be more of a laser device here. I am always interested to look at behind the scenes information for my favourite games, because it is interesting to think of how things could have potentially turned out. Just look at these portals though, I do prefer them. Regardless, we were given a solid game to figure out. Now, this video was a tough one to put together, as the information was all over the place, with contradictions on dates and how some aspects worked, but I am hoping I got it right and as accurate as possible. I am aware that retcons do happen to cater for new installments in a series, and Valve make a lot of changes. Now I did leave out quite a bit of information that didn't relate to the Portal project, so I'll probably put cards in the relevant places to explain them more with videos I've done on specific topics, such as GLaDOS and Cave Johnson. Also, I did create a timeline a while back that covers all of the major events within Aperture. If you enjoyed this, be sure to like the video, share it and absolutely subscribe. Now, enjoy your day.